YouTube, what's going on, man? It's your boy Just Bucks, and as you can see by the title of today's video, I'm gonna be showing you guys how to do the high taper self-cut tutorial. Yes, this is beginner friendly. It don't matter what set of clippers you got. If you got the TikTok shop trimmers or if you got a professional set of clippers and trimmers, it does not matter. As long as you can follow steps and pay attention and take your time, your haircut will turn out something like this. Now before we start, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Leave some of the tools that I use in this video down in the description down below, so make sure you check that out. And I'll also leave my socials linked down in the description, so make sure you follow me on all platforms. In this video, I'll be telling you guys how to do the high taper itself, how to do a back taper by yourself, and my lineup process. So without further ado, let's get straight into this video. Alright y'all, so first things first, if you do have long hair, you definitely want to get a hair tie or some type of hair clip just to get that hair out the way, so we can start with a clean canvas and see what we're doing. Then you're going to want to take a soft brush and just brush that hair down so we can really see where we're starting at. Now I'm going to take my trimmers and my clippers and make sure I clean them before and after every cut, so we just keep it as sanitary as possible and don't get any crazy stuff going on in our head. Now we're going to take our trimmer and set in our ball line. I like to go from the cuff of my ear to the top of my curve. As you've seen by that line I tried to show you guys. And then we're just going to go like that. So we won't have C-cups because this is a high taper, but you just want to take those trimmers and tap lightly and get that out. Get that hair out, make that crisp ball line. Now if you have one, you can use a foil shaver to really get it bald, and this will just help with the blurry fade at the end. You won't see that bottom ball line at all. Now we're going to take our clippers and we're going to go lever open. As you can see, open, close. When it's closed, you cut more hair. When it's open, you cut less hair. So we're going to start with it open. We're going to go about 1/4 of an inch. If you can't measure 1/4 of an inch, put a finger up to your hair, and that's just about 1/4 of an inch. But I mean, you want to get this as clean as possible, as even as possible, because when we're taking those out, it's just gonna make the fade come together better at the end. So as you can see, I got my guideline in. Now we're gonna close it halfway and we're gonna go up halfway. So now it's about 1/8 of an inch. As you can see, I'm not flicking out yet. I'm just going straight up. I only flick out when I'm getting my final line out. So now we close it all the way, and now this is where you're going to see me flick up and have that scoop motion. So you can go really slow with this. If you want to just be careful, just go right on the line and scoop up, right on the line and scoop up and out. Alright, so once that's done, take your one guard. We're going to go one guard open, and we're going to repeat the process. So if you guys didn't know, when you're cutting your own hair, a lot of the times it's just repeating the same process with different guards on a different section of your hair, which makes it really simple if you could just remember that. Just don't overthink it when you guys are doing this. As you can see, now you can see I have 3 lines. I have the bottom line and I got that top line with a hair sticker. So I'm going to brush it down so I can see. I got my one guard and it's closed now. And we're going to scoop that line out as best as possible. But on this guideline, it's not going to come all the way out. We're just trying to get it down as best as possible. Once I brush it back down, you will see that there's still a line. But then we're going to go in with another guard to get that line out of there fully. So now I'm going to go with my A guard or my 0.5 or my 0 guard, whichever one it is with your clippers. With mine, it's the A guard. And I'm going to close it up just a tiny bit. And we're going to just work at that. And we're going to keep closing it until that line is completely gone. Remember to keep that scoop out method going, because you don't want to make a harsh guideline in your hair when you're doing a high taper, because then if it goes up too high, you might be cooked. As you can see, that line is pretty much almost out of there, but you can still see it a little bit. So now I got the A guard and I closed it all the way, and now I'm going to use the corners to really detail and really get this final line out. And whenever you're in doubt, just remember you can always cut more hair, but you cannot cut less hair. So that what I mean when I say that is just take your time and don't go too fast, because if you cut too much hair off or you make a bald spot, it's going to be hard. It's going to be very, very hard to recover from that. So just take your time and follow these steps and you should be alright. Now we're going to take out that thicker guideline, and for this we're going to use the B guard or the 1.5 or the 1.5 guard, whichever your clipper set says. Mine is the B guard. And we're going to debulk that top with the lever completely open just get that hair down as much as possible, and that'll ultimately get rid of this guideline for us a little bit, and we'll be able to go back in with some lever work and make it happen. You see that line is a lot thinner now and it's more manageable, it's less harsh, so now we can really go in, close that guard up, and then we could do the scoop out method and then flick out that line. You see that line is coming right out. As you can see, just follow these steps, and when you're scooping out, just take your time, man. It's not a rush. My first haircut, I messed it up, but it took me probably 2 hours to do just because I was taking my time, man. So just take your time, and remember, if the first haircut doesn't turn out as good as you want it, just remember, hey, once you perfect this, you're gonna save so much money instead of just going to the barber. So just stick with it, and just know, like, the skill will come over time. Now, I still see that line a little bit. I got the one guard closed, and we're gonna just try and get some of that out. And this is the part where, like, after you do those first three steps with those first three guards, now it's time to go back in and just do some detail work. Now I got the no guard on there, and we just trying to get that blend as blurry as possible, man. Like, try to get out as many lines as possible, as many spots as possible, and just make the fade flow smoothly. That's the goal. So here's my final product. We're gonna do that to the other side. Boom, it's done. Just, if you need the steps again, just follow those steps, rewind the video, stuff like that. But now we're gonna go ahead and prep this hairline. I prep my hairline before I do the back taper. So I'm gonna take a one guard open, and I'm gonna just debulk my front lineup. I got the little double lineup, whatever you want to call it, front taper. Debulk that with a one guard. Now once you got that debulked, you want to brush it down. As you can see, I do have some light corners, so that's what we're gonna make sure we brush our hair down. Get some type of alcohol or astringent to clean off the surface. This is gonna make your haircut turn out a lot more crispy. I don't know why, but it always works. I'm not sure why. You're gonna use your holding spray of choice. I like to spray mine a couple times because sometimes it come out a little wonky, and I like overspray it. But we're gonna spray our hair now. Make sure we get that pretty wet, just so, like, it can be saturated in all the spots, and then brush that hair down. And we are going to allow this time to dry as we're doing our back taper. So that's why I always prep my lineups before the back taper. So this is what the prep lineups looks like. And now we're going to the three-way mirror to do the back taper. And it's the same steps as the front taper. Now, I didn't do a good job catching this on camera. So if you want to just skip past this part, it is what it is. But I do the same steps. The only step is different is I debulk with a one guard, going with the grain before I start my fade. So as you can see, I'm setting the ball line in again. Now I'm gonna go with the one. I'm gonna go with the 1.5. I'm gonna go with the half guard, and we're just gonna fade it out. Alright, now time for the lineup. I feel like this is the most important part of the haircut. I like to start from the middle. Some people say start from the corners, but my corners are already light, so I feel like if I start from there, then I'm just gonna push back the middle. So I start from the middle, the lowest point of my hair, and I kind of give myself what I like to call a ghost lineup, meaning in those spots that are lighter, I just imagine it was hair there, so that way I'm not pushing myself back. So this is the lineup, no enhancements. Obviously I have receding hairline, so I'm gonna use some enhancements. I use the Temptation, and here we go. Spray lightly, and I like to spray it on an angle. Here we go. As you can see, it still looks a little bit painted on, so we're gonna use some fibers now and go ahead and make that look a little bit more real. But before we do that, we're gonna line it up, and we're gonna use the fibers, and then we're gonna line it up again. So you're really gonna line yourself up a few times before you really get what you want. Alright, so now we got the fibers. You want to make sure you don't overdo it with this, because if you overdo it, it will really look crazy. So just do it enough to where the light spots, are kind of evened out with your real hair that's like perfectly intact. Now we're pretty much done. Gonna dust myself off, and I did my facial hair off camera. Let me know if you guys want a facial hair tutorial, how to get my mustache and goatee going, and shaving my sides and all that. But here's the final product. I think it came out pretty crispy. I feel like I may have messed up on the first side with the enhancements, but it is what it is. We saw the learning process, man. But yeah, man, if you like this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Follow my socials in the description.